If you're over 35 and you feel like you've messed up with money, most advice online doesn't help. In fact, it usually makes things worse. You hear phrases like just budget better or stop buying coffee, and instead of clarity, you feel judged. Because deep down, you already know this isn't about small expenses. It's about years of responsibility, pressure, and decisions stacking up quietly in the background. What people rarely talk about is the quiet desperation. Not panic, not crisis, just a constant low-level weight. The kind that shows up late at night, when the house is quiet, when the TV is off. When you're replaying the same numbers in your head and asking yourself how you ended up here. You're not broke, but you're not okay either. You pay your bills, you show up, you do what you're supposed to do, but there's no margin. No sense of control. And living in that space, between I'm surviving and I feel secure, is exhausting. It drains your energy in ways people don't see. And the worst part is the shame, because from the outside, things look fine. So you don't talk about it. You carry it alone. This video is not about getting rich. It's not about shortcuts, side hustles, or investment tricks. This is a grounded 90-day reset designed to stop the bleeding, remove the chaos, and bring you back to neutral. No complex spreadsheets today. No judgment, just a simple system to help you breathe again. If you're tired of feeling behind, stay with me. And before we begin, if you want calm, practical money guidance designed for adults who value stability over hype, make sure you subscribe. Everything on this channel is built around systems that work in real life, not fantasies. The first phase is the hardest, not because it's complicated, but because it's honest. I call this phase the naked audit, and the goal here is radical clarity. Most people don't struggle with money because they're bad at math. They struggle because they avoid the full picture. They check balances quickly. They glance at statements. They tell themselves they'll look later. And the shame lives in that uncertainty. Think about how most people check their finances, like touching a hot stove. Quickly. Then pulling away. That avoidance keeps your nervous system on edge. Your brain fills in the gaps with worst-case scenarios, and those imagined scenarios are often worse than reality. So for the first 30 days, we do something different. We look directly at the lion. You gather everything. Bank accounts, credit cards, loans, subscriptions, bills, ideally on paper, tangible, real. Because we tend to trust what we can see and touch. And here's the most important rule. We are not budgeting yet. We are not optimizing. We are not fixing. We are only observing. This matters because most people jump straight into control before they have clarity. And control without clarity creates frustration. Not progress. During these 30 days, you hit pause. You cancel or pause anything that isn't essential. Streaming services, convenience spending, extras. This is not punishment. It's a detox, not a permanent lifestyle. At first, this feels uncomfortable. It feels restrictive. But then something interesting happens. The mental noise starts to fade. You stop guessing. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop avoiding. And what most people discover is surprising. Once you see the full number clearly, it actually becomes less frightening. The fear was never the debt or the expenses. The fear was not knowing. By the end of this phase, your situation may not look better on paper. But psychologically, something massive has shifted. You're no longer guessing. You're grounded in reality. And clarity always comes before change. Once clarity replaces fear, we move into phase 2 for stabilization. This is where most people make a critical mistake. They rush ahead, and rushing is what breaks the system. In this phase, we define what I call your floor. The floor is the bare minimum required to keep your life functioning. Housing, utilities, food, transportation, nothing else, no goals, no dreams, just survival. This number matters more than people realize. Because if you don't know your floor, every surprise feels catastrophic, a flat tire. A dental bill, a school expense, Each one feels like proof that you're failing. But once you know your floor, those events stop feeling personal. They become logistical. Problems stop attacking your identity and start behaving like math. Next, you build a buffer before investing, before aggressive debt payoff, before anything else. The target is simple: $1,000. This isn't about wealth, it's about stress reduction. This buffer exists so the next unexpected expense doesn't push you back onto credit cards. It's a psychological circuit breaker. If you don't have it, you don't save harder. You simplify. You sell unused items. You redirect cash. You temporarily lower comfort to buy peace of mind. Most people skip this step and try to invest too early. That's why they end up right back in debt 6 months later. Growth without stability always collapses. By the end of this phase, you're no longer fragile. You have a floor. You have a buffer. And for the first time in a long time, money stops feeling like an emergency. Now we move into momentum. Enter phase 3. This phase is about removing willpower from the equation. First, you flip the most important switch in personal finance. Pay yourself first. On payday, an automatic transfer moves money, even $50, into a separate savings account. Not what's left at the end of the month, because there is never anything left. Automation works because willpower is unreliable, especially for adults with jobs, families, and responsibilities. If you've tried before and failed, it wasn't because you lacked discipline. It's because the system depended on you being perfect. Now comes the attack. You choose one target. One debt. Either the smallest balance or the highest interest. Not all of them. One. Every dollar beyond your floor and buffer goes toward that target. Focus creates progress. Progress creates relief, and relief creates consistency. By now, something important has changed. You're no longer reacting to money. You're directing it. Now let's talk about why most resets fail after 90 days. At this point, most people feel something dangerous: relief. And relief is good, but it's also where many resets quietly fall apart. Not because people stop caring, not because they suddenly become irresponsible, but because once the pressure eases, attention fades. And when attention fades, old patterns slowly return. This is why most financial resets fail after 90 days. People don't collapse overnight, they drift. They stop checking in. They stop looking at the numbers, not intentionally, just gradually. One busy month turns into 3. One skipped review becomes a habit, and without realizing it, they're back to reacting instead of directing. The problem isn't discipline, it's visibility. When you don't see your money clearly, your brain fills in the gaps. You assume things are probably fine. You delay small corrections. And small delays compound into big problems, quietly. This is why resets that rely on motivation never last. Motivation fades. Life gets busy, and eventually the system breaks because it depends on constant effort. The goal of a real reset isn't to feel disciplined forever. It's to build awareness that doesn't require energy. If you don't create a way to regularly see where your money is going, where it's growing, and where it's leaking, you'll eventually lose control. Not dramatically, but subtly. And subtle loss of control is the most dangerous kind. Because by the time it hurts again, months have already passed. That's why this reset isn't complete unless it turns clarity into something repeatable. Something you return to. Something that keeps you honest even when life speeds up. Because staying in control isn't about intensity, it's about staying aware. This is where awareness has to evolve into a system. Up to now, you've done the hard work. You faced the numbers. You built the floor. You created a buffer. You automated progress. That already puts you ahead of most people. But long-term stability doesn't come from effort. It comes from visibility. You need a simple way to see your financial reality without stress. Not every day, not obsessively, just clearly enough to stay grounded. That's exactly why we're building the Trip to Wealth Command Center. It's not an investment tool. It's not a budgeting app that nags you. It's a simple Google Sheets system designed to give you a single place to see your income, expenses, savings, and net worth, all in one calm visual dashboard. The purpose isn't control, the purpose is honesty. When you can see your numbers clearly, you don't drift. You notice small changes early. You correct course before stress builds, and most importantly, you stop relying on memory and emotion. The Command Center is a natural extension of everything you've just done in this reset. It turns the naked audit into a habit. It supports automation. And it keeps your system intact long after motivation fades, because the real enemy isn't lack of knowledge, it's forgetting to look. When awareness becomes a system, progress becomes quiet, stable, sustainable. And that's how you avoid repeating the same cycle 5 years from now. If you want more structure in your money life, you'll find the early access link below. It's built for adults who want clarity, not complexity, and control without stress. In 90 days, you didn't become a millionaire. And that's the point. What you did was far more important. You stopped the chaos. You replaced anxiety with clarity. You built a floor, a buffer, and a system that doesn't rely on motivation or willpower. For the first time in a long time, you can breathe. And once you reach this point, once phase 2 is complete, you're finally ready to think about investing without stress. Not from panic, not from urgency, but from stability. That's why the next step is understanding how to invest simply, calmly, without complexity. So when you're ready, watch the next video on the channel titled The One-Page Investment Plan You Need. It shows you how to move forward from stability to growth without breaking what you just fixed. Because real financial progress doesn't come from rushing. It comes from regaining control first, and then letting growth follow. Remember, this video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice. It is important to conduct thorough research and consult with financial professionals before making any investment decisions. The value of investments can fluctuate, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Always assess your risk tolerance and investment goals before allocating your capital. And if you found value today, I highly recommend watching my next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to leave your comment below. I appreciate your support. Until next time, stay consistent, stay patient, and stay winning. See you in the next one, Money Magician.